Hey guys, it's Alex here from Android Headlines, and we're doing a little comparison between the G2 and the Moto X, which obviously we both have in house right now. I've had the G2 for a little over a week now. Just got the Moto X about a day or two ago, depending on when this video comes up on YouTube. So we thought we'd do a little, comparison because these are two of the most bezel-less phones, I guess you would call it. We also have a written companion on the site, which will be it'll be linked in the description below once it's published. And as you can see from what I'm doing here, both phones are pretty responsive. Now, of course, Moto X is not as skinned as the G2. Moto X is pretty much stock Android, while the G2 has their Optimus UI on there, and there's a lot of changes, as you can see from the notification panel right there. As far as battery goes, 2200 milliamp versus 3000 milliamp, and they both provide excellent battery life, and I mean excellent. When you're someone like me, you're coming from like the Nexus 4 or the HTC One, and you see like a 2200 milliamp battery, you're like, oh, that's not gonna last the whole day. Moto X, it will. Let's check out the stats right now on the Moto X and see what we've got. So we've got about 8 hours here almost, and a little over 2 hours of on-screen time. And this is all on Wi-Fi, but this isn't all at like minimum brightness. I've been taking pictures of the Moto X and shooting video like right now. So it's kind of heavy use mixed with light use. So I think it can probably make a full 24 hours like Motorola promises. Of course, we'll check that out before we do the full review. Then over here on the G2. Oops, wrong one. I haven't actually used it much today, but on standby about 12 hours, and I think it's around an hour of on-screen time. Yeah, 57 minutes. So it's still not bad considering it's at 64%. But considering G2 has a much bigger battery, but then also has a much bigger screen, you'd expect the G2 to last longer than the Moto X, which they're about the same. Now, as far as processors and performance goes, Snapdragon S4 Pro dual core 1.7 GHz on the Moto X, and Snapdragon 800 quad core 2.3 GHz on the G2. Now, of course, when you go into let's see, I ran into two the other day on the G2. Let's see if we could find the screenshot of the results. Okay, it might have gotten taken out. I think it's in Dropbox. Hang on. Those are the results of the Moto X on Antutu. So they're not the best, but they're also not the worst. And it'll just be one more second. Gotta make sure I got the right Antutu benchmark since I've been reviewing a lot of devices lately. But Antutu on the G2 was around, 32,000. So it's about where I thought it would be, and in all honesty, the Moto X scored higher than I thought it would. Let's turn up the brightness a little bit more so you can see this. So 21 420 versus 32 142. Not bad, considering how different the processors are on both of these. And as you can see just from going through here, they're both pretty responsive. Now the cameras, Motorola or Moto X has a 10 megapixel clear pixel camera, so there's a RGB-C sensor in there, so it's supposed to allow more light in there. It's kind of like the ultra pixel in the HTC One, so it should do pretty well when you have good lighting and stuff. Which of course we'll be taking that through the whole test like we normally do. The G2 gets a lot of fingerprints because it's the glossy plastic on the back, and it's a 13 megapixel camera with a flash on the back. flash over there, flash below it for the Moto X. That dimple is really awesome. Although I keep trying to push it because I'm used to the power button back here on the G2. So let's take a look at how pictures work and how quickly the cameras go. So open up the camera app on the G2. And as you can see, pretty much as soon as I hit the shutter button, it's taking the picture, which is that is awesome. It's probably the best thing that could ever happen in a camera on a smartphone. On the Moto X, you can actually do this little twisty thing, and once you feel it vibrate, then you know it's getting into the camera. And you can actually tap anywhere. It's pretty fast on the Moto X as well, which is great to see. Some other phones I've used, I think the Nexus 4 is kind of slow with taking pictures, but I don't use it for pictures that often. Unless you're looking to do like professional photography, both these cameras are pretty good. Now if you're looking to do something really good, like maybe shoot a 1080p video like this one, then you're going to want an actual camera, not one from your smartphone. But if you just want to put stuff on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Google+, these cameras are pretty good. You can get the Google Now on both of them. Of course, on the Moto X, you can just say, "Okay, Google Now." "Okay, Google Now." And then just say whatever you wanted to search for or whatever. But that's the comparison between the Moto X and the G2. Remember, we got the full comparison written up. It'll be live in probably the end of today. So be sure to add that link once it's live so you can check that out too.